Welcome back from last episode, guys. We cut it short, and we're continuing the conversation with a little bit more upbeat and more personal view into our lives. Got Shane across from me, smiling like always. And while Shane tells us a little bit about what we're going to talk about, I'm going to pull up our two new patrons who are in my email that I usually close so it doesn't make noise.
Yeah. Hey, so with our last episode, like I said, it was a little more doom and gloom. It was just what was going on out there that we wanted to bring your attention. This gets a little more personal. How's your life been? How's Bank's life been? How's my life been during this, I don't know, this weird blip in American society? What has changed? What is good? What is not what we are being told it is? And I mean, this episode was a lot of fun. We've actually already recorded it, and to kind of understand, where Banks is and share stories about what we're doing here in the Hazel household.
It's fun.
It is, and it's cathartic to a certain degree to help people understand that. Listen, if you can get out, go places. You're not in quarantine. There's no laws whatsoever that are keeping you inside your house, and gas is real damn cheap right now, right? So I hope you enjoy this episode. And Banks, anything else? You got the reviews over there, right? Or the patrons?
Yeah. Big shout out to Stefan, who became a $9 patron. Thank you so much, Stefan. And a big shout out to Carol, who became a $3 patron. Hopefully you will enjoy the stickers. Stefan also sent us a message. He asked what we should have gone over this time, but we'll go over it next episode. He says, is there a practical difference, not necessary legal definition difference, but a practical difference between a quarantine and a martial law situation? Do you want to grab that now?
Boy, I think quarantine is just more of, off the top of my head, I think quarantine is more of a statement or an action versus an actual martial law. I mean, martial law is complete state run. Like, you are under the complete, I'm going to use the word tyranny. You're under the complete tyranny of the state.
I think I actually covered it in episode 175. Quarantine is when people who are in extreme condition are told to stay somewhere. Mm-hmm. Martial law is when there is a temporary dictatorship. Right. We only use martial law because if you accept the premise, it's supposed to be temporary, but it is a dictatorship that's openly instituted because of some extreme circumstance. I'm not sure that I agree totally with that, but that's the difference that I would make between the two.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hope you guys enjoyed the rest of the show that we pre-recorded, and peace. Hey, I do want to see if you've had any feedback. So episode 173 was a particular episode, and we haven't talked at all since that episode came out.
What was 173?
It's the Dawn Wire call.
Oh.
So for those who haven't listened to episode 173, the cluster of people who listen to it is more here in Georgia, right, actually, though there are people everywhere as usual.
Did you talk to... Between us, did you talk to so-and-so that contacted us about that episode?
Yeah, I've talked to so-and-so who contacted us about that.
Can we talk about that? Did you guys talk and have a conversation, or is it completely anonymous? And
it's anonymous. Okay. I mean, I didn't talk verbally.
I'm telling you right now, I had people that were like, thank you so much.
Oh, you mean all the people? I thought we were talking about one specific
I was talking about one specific person. Yes, but since we can't talk about her, but I mean, inside baseball, sorry guys. How fascinating is that?
It's. I mean, I was actually fed that information before, and I had
no idea.
I was expecting to have that happen, but I mean, this is why it's important. Is what you see is like the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah.
And already, if you guys go to that website, so again, for those who haven't listened to 173, there's a local coroner candidate who is running in Cherokee County, where Shane and I both live now.
Yeah.
We just couldn't stay too far apart. And he has a sordid history that was exposed on a website called...
Sordid, and by sordid, Banks means criminal. U.S. Code 18242, the one that I want to throw at most people in terms of law enforcement that violate the rights of the people. It is deprivation of rights or conspiracy to deprive somebody of rights under U.S. Code 241 and 242.
And so there's some people out there that made this website. It's called donwareforcoroner.com. That's because apparently Don doesn't know how to keep his URL before he prints out push cards. That's how I found out. I literally picked up one of his cards that he was handing out, and it had that website on it.
Wow.
So it's pretty funny. That part is funny. But the website kind of details the fact that he was charged and convicted of a misdemeanor, as he would say, of doing of torturing a man in jail when he was a sheriff's deputy here in the same county. And now there has been an official challenge to his status as a candidate for coroner for moral turpitude reasons, which means that the government has to have a court date at this point to talk about the issue. Now, as we know, they don't want any mess in their system, right? Like candidates go on the ballot and they just push them through. So I don't know what's going to happen there, but I'm glad that some people, and I think their names are public if I click on here on the documents that were filed. Let me see if it will show up. Cherokee Board of Elections and Registrars formal challenge to the eligibility of coroner candidate Don Gordon Ware. And the website has crossed out the names of the people at the top here who are challenging, but it is public knowledge. You can find it somewhere. But for reasons of moral turpitude, because no person shall be eligible to offer for election or to hold the office of coroner unless he or she has not been convicted of a felony offense or any offense involving moral turpitude contrary to the laws of this state, any other state, or the United States of America.
Very interesting.
Indeed. So I've heard back from this. There's a lot of chatter about what's happening. A lot of people who didn't know,
right,
and who listened to our episode of you calling Don and asking him. And one of the important things that we didn't know we were doing is to get him on record that he had no remorse for what he did.
Yeah.
Because in his, I'm not going to use the right word, but in his
deposition.
Yeah, in his deposition or
in the
whatever,
report. Yeah.
And sentencing, he said that he had remorse.
Oh.
So I mean, which is a normal human reaction, right? You're going to potentially be sentenced because he got like a year of probation or something, and you're scared, and so you do everything you can to lessen the pain that's going to be inflicted on you.
Yeah. Wow. Lied on an official government document. Well, who knows, man?
I mean, I guess for devil's advocate, your level of remorse could change over time, but
to go backwards is a strange thing. Yeah,
I think so. I think over time we hope that we all become more empathetic, understanding, compassionate, and better human beings overall. And I would think that would lead somebody to have more remorse. But that's just me over here.
Yeah, I hear you, man.
I thought it wasn't good to jump on people's necks and pepper spray them while they're passed out. But
here's the thing, and I've maintained this all along. Is hey. I know people are young and stupid and they make mistakes and they do dumb things, even including hurting and killing people. The ability to be remorseful and to be human and to learn, and this guy didn't have it, man. That was a very telling thing to me. And trust me, man, I hate it for him. I hate the fact that he hasn't been able to move on through this. And really, I wish him well in terms of getting, maybe having that revolution in his life and being able to move past it, because it sounds to me like it's still eating at him a bit. One way or another, it's still eating at him.
So, I mean, I'm an eternal optimist. I hope it's eating at him only with the desire that he has some peace internally. I don't think something like that can't eat you up.
Yeah.
I don't even know if I believe in 100% sociopaths, or what's the other one? So sociopaths and
sociopaths in terms of just justifying things in your mind.
Yeah,
psychopaths and sociopaths. Yeah,
I don't know if I believe that there's anyone who's 100% that and has no emotion.
Okay.
I just don't believe that, and so I think that there is like the possibility of retribution. for everybody.
Yeah.
And so I think it has to be eaten at him somewhere. And if it's not coming out in good ways, right, in good ways of acceptance and asking for forgiveness and doing penance, then it has to be coming out in bad ways, which makes him a more dangerous person.
Yep.
And that happens to all of us on smaller levels, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So, what's interesting, just to finish off with this, is that in this in this challenge, they've asked that two different people be taken off of the elections board for this decision, because one was officially appointed by Don Ware when Don was the chair of the Republican Party, who gets to assign a person on the elections board, which is a problem in and of itself. And another person who had business with Don recently.
I mean, if it was in regular business, there are tons of laws and regulations put forth by the government to see that these things don't happen within private business. Conflict of interest is a pretty big thing. It's also a big thing. It's actually a much larger issue within government than it is here.
Absolutely. The problem is that when the people who are in charge of recusing themselves are the people in charge of recusing themselves. Yeah. I know that sounds funny, but
the same people that investigate themselves too.
I mean, you see exactly. You see all the time. Like, a judge is the one who's supposed to make the other judges who are higher up, I guess, can take them out, but it doesn't happen because you don't mess with other judges the same way that law enforcement doesn't mess with other law enforcement. And so you've got a system here where I'm sure that there's people above the Cherokee Board of Elections, but here it's their determination. Are they actually going to censor themselves?
I don't know. With enough outside pressure, they will.
Hopefully.
Let's do it.
If you haven't listened to it, it is an amazing experience, I guess, in a local government. You want to go back to stuff? I just wanted to do a recap on that.
Yeah, I kind of, and I don't know if you have anything. Do you have other things over there? I'm done with Corona on my side in terms of the news stories.
Let's see. I have this. Did we talk about that? Yeah, we talked about the stimulus package.
Yep.
We talked about Nancy Pelosi and what she's adding into the. So I thought the name of this article was really good. It's the USA Today, so a liberal piece of trash. Like, this is the toilet paper you use
USSR today.
When you don't have toilet paper, this is the first thing you use. But it's an opinion piece that must be why. But it's Democrats try to hijack coronavirus stimulus for liberal Christmas tree in March. They're just trying to put everything in there. I mean, there's like environmental things.
I saw also like transgender Native American operations or something like that.
I didn't see that, but there's the Take Responsibility for Workers and Families Acts. In their 1,119-page bill is the Christmas in March for liberal special interests. It imposes racial and gender pay equity provisions, diversity on corporate board, increased use of minority-owned banks or federal offices, a grab bag of other diversity theme requirement. It increases the collective bargaining rights for unions and cancels all debt owed to the U.S. Postal Service to the U.S. Treasury. For the global warming crowd, there is an increased fuel emission standards, just randomly put that in there, required carbon offsets for airlines, plus tax credits for alternative energy programs. For the kids in there, because the children are important, there is a provision for student loan payment deferment, and for the education bureaucrats who overcharge them, a $9.5 billion giveaway to colleges and universities. It gives $100 million to the juvenile justice programs and suspends various aspects of enforcement of immigration laws. Perhaps the most troubling sections of the bill, under the rubric American Coronavirus COVID Election Safety and Security, called Access Act. This section would impose requirements on states for early voting, voting by mail, required mailing of absentee ballots to everyone, ballot harvesting, which means having third parties deliver absentee ballots, online voter registration, same-day registration, and other practices which undermine confidence in the integrity of the voting system. And it goes on. I mean, there's more, but that's enough flavor to understand what they're trying to do. That last one, I'm not sure if it's the most troubling, but I mean, it's a direct violation of the Constitution. The only thing the government is supposed to do at the federal level is make sure there is a Republican form of government happening in the states.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, domestic side of government is a non-starter. War, peace, negotiation, world commerce, be our foreign emissary. help us not get into wars so that we can go out there and trade through peace and consent and lift the human condition.
I guess the only thing that's constitutional in that whole thing is maybe canceling the debt owed to the U.S. Postal Service that the USPS owes to the Treasury, maybe, because that piece of crap is in the Constitution,
I
which
don't know.
makes the Constitution slightly crappy.
Oh, well, slightly.
That's how it works. Like, if you smear some crap into something, isn't it also partially crap now? Sorry. You know how much I hate the U.S. Postal Service.
Our newest listeners are losing their mind right now. Hey, guys, listen. As constitutions go, we have actually a pretty decent constitution. Here is where Banks and I take issue with some things, obviously, in the Constitution.
You know what's cool about that is
What's
now
that?
you're on the same page with me.
I know, man. I was thinking about that the other day because I remember when we used to intro the whole thing. It was peace, liberty, free markets, and constitutional government. Remember that?
I do.
Yeah, and now that's gone, right? Listen,
Welcome to the
if
dark
we can
side.
if we can get to constitutional government in my lifetime, that'd be fantastic. I don't think it's going to happen. I don't know. I'm more of an anti-federalist these days, guys, and I don't think that adults need rulers. I don't think I think it's an archaic practice where we go to a ballot box and say, I'm going to choose this ruler, I'm going to choose this ruler, and I'm going to have this guy make decisions on my behalf where he's going to go out and he's going to literally bond me to god-awful places like the Federal Reserve so that they can come back and take taxes and enslave me for the better part of the first quarter and a half of the year, right? Like, no thanks. I'm really past that. Now, in terms of the Constitution, if it was actually adhered to strictly, we'd be much better off because, less government is always, always, always better, period. Okay? That's where Banks and I are going. It's not that we're, I don't know, anti-American or any of that kind of crap.
No, of course not. And
I just want to clarify that for new people out there.
Absolutely. For those who don't know, I just hate the U.S. Postal Service and the
Yeah,
fact that it's
a
in
lot.
the Constitution, even though I acknowledge the Constitution is quite imperfect.
Yeah.
I think it, like Shane said, if we could get back to that, it'd be freaking fantastic.
During this whole thing, I've had some very interesting conversations with people out there in from our camp and even outside of our camp, Banksy. And
I'm in the same camp as everybody. I got no camp.
And I got a Liberty camp. I'm going to tell you right now, I got a Liberty camp, and I like those people a lot. Now, there's this one guy that I'm trying to bring over to the Liberty camp, right? And he was making the argument, oh no, we've got to have the government involved in all the solutions that are going on out there. And I was like, dude, they can't run a post office, right? And you want them to handle the whole of the health industry in the United States? Are you kidding me? And he goes, what are you talking about? Those guys deliver millions of packages every day around the United States. What are you talking about? I was just like, oh, do I need to explain this? And of course, yes, I do have to explain this because there are some people who are new and coming in. Listen, the U.S. Post Office, he's factually correct, but it's a straw man argument in terms of, yes, do they deliver millions of packages a day? They do. However, they do it at an $11 billion loss last year, some gigantic, god-awful number.
Sure, I mean, but private businesses operate at loss sometimes too.
Yeah,
maybe not for decades.
Let me tell you right now, FedEx and UPS, not the United States Post Office, United Parcel Service, UPS and FedEx and DHL and the rest of these private organizations that take your package and can tell you what damn truck it's on and where it's at a very specific time, they don't run at losses.
No, but there's another point too. Is if FedEx tries to put things into a mailbox, right?
Yeah.
It will get in trouble. It is not allowed to do that.
Yeah.
It is not allowed to send what for some reason we've called first class mail. Is that just to trick us into thinking it's first class? No, they're not allowed to do that. So they're not even allowed to compete where we're allowed to compete. I actually think there's starting to be a lot of competition because you've got these you've got all the deliverers, right? The Ubers, the Grubhubs, and Amazon has its own delivery kind of. You can be a subsidiary of Amazon and
Sure.
and deliver for them. And I think the U.S. Postal Service is probably feeling some of the heat. But still, because they have a monopoly that's enforced with guns, Amazon and so forth partner with USPS, that's the United States Postal Service, because they have to, because nobody is allowed to deliver that exact type of product because they said so.
Right. And it's not that they hate that, right? Let's Jeff Bezos and those guys, they're jackasses, from Amazon. Like they're part of the private corporate cabal that is aristocratic combination.
Like, I don't like defending Jeff Bezos necessarily, but I could imagine.
I do love Amazon.
I do too. but I could imagine that he would be like, oh, I could run this better than the government.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm sure he could too.
I mean, he's pretty good.
Hey.
Like I think he treats a lot of his employees like crap, and I would never work in some in some of those conditions. I'm pretty sure that he can think in his mind, yeah, they spend a lot of money on employees. I mean, if you work for the U.S. Postal Service for a while, like, you've got some pretty good benefits.
Well, here's the other thing is,
you're bailed out by the federal government when it doesn't go good.
I'd be willing to give him a shot. Here, hey, we can get rid of the Postal Service altogether. Just get rid of it. Get rid of that drain on society, of course, through an Article 5 amendment that expunges it from the Constitution, because if we're going to have a framework, let's not be arbitrary about it. Would I let it go? Maybe if it didn't. Yeah, I probably would. Oh, you got me. You got me. Shane Hazel.
I didn't do anything. I was just like,
says he doesn't want the Postal Service and would take a piece of legislation through an Article 5 amendment. Oh, at any rate, but I'd willingly consent to, hey, let's close this down. I'll give Jeff Bezos money to run postal services versus letting the bureaucrats in DC run it. That's for darn sure, man. But Banks, in terms of, and I don't like, I'm good on stories. Unless you got more stories over there, I wanted to get personal with you in terms of how is apocalyptic life week 2 and some change. How's it going, man?
So, for those who don't know, I'm running a congressional campaign for Matt Gertler. You can donate at mattgertlerforcongress.com.
All right,
/donate.
Stop it.
So I say that jokingly, but I'm really busy, and so it's kind of distracted me from that.
Right.
But I haven't had problem finding food.
Yeah. Now, have you been going out to get food? So here's the thing is, Meredith heard us talking not long ago about more personal stuff, right? And she says, you guys should do that more often. And I'll tell you what.
You don't think we talk about personal stuff enough?
Not enough.
Really? I always feel guilty because I feel like we do personal stuff too much.
This is from our audience, man. And somebody that I wholeheartedly trust, man. So I think there's a real story to be told in terms of how this is. I mean, we're people, man.
So I guess I have some. My oldest sister has the coronavirus.
Really?
Yeah.
In France?
In France.
Okay.
Today is day 9 of her having it. Her fever finally went down yesterday.
Is she in the hospital?
No, she's not.
She's at home.
Yeah, only people who have breathing problems go to the hospital, and she very luckily doesn't have a breathing problem.
Wow.
She's in her 50s, so she's not like at risk, but she's not like at zero. Like she's,
right.
Like I have a very different risk than her.
Right.
But she's, for the first time on day 8, the temperature went down. It stayed the same.
What is she hovering at? In 102?
38.5. This is in Celsius, so whatever the conversion is. Hey Siri.
1.8.
What's 38.5 degrees
plus
Celsius
32.
in Fahrenheit?
Carry the 5.
Siri's thinking.
Just a moment.
She asked me for just a moment.
She's trying to get into it. Well, 38.
Here it comes.
1.8 degrees Celsius is 35.2 degrees.
Okay, she misheard me, but it's a fever, and for the first time yesterday it went down. My middle sister, who's a doctor, has been calling her every day, and my little sister, who's a pharmacist, has been calling her every day.
She's married with kids?
My oldest sister?
Yeah.
No.
No kids?
It's just her.
Oh wow. So she's at home being sick right now with corona.
She said there's only one other time in her life that she's felt that bad. It like hurts you in your bones and so forth. So it definitely isn't good.
Yeah, she's running 101, a little over 101.
So she ran 101 for 7 days straight.
Okay.
And then it went down to 37.5 yesterday, which was probably like 99.5 or something. So today, I haven't called her yet, but I'm sure she's feeling a little bit better. Yeah. And my middle sister finally convinced her to do a telecommunication with a doctor. She did yesterday. And the doctor was like, just continue with the fluids and all this kind of stuff.
So is she doing more of a homeopathic route with it?
No, I mean she's got medication. I'm not sure all what it is, but she had them delivered, and she's just stayed at home, and doesn't want to get anybody else sick, so she's just there.
So day 9, huh?
But she's feeling like, I talked to her yesterday, and she was feeling much better, and she's a trooper. And she's like, yeah, I'm not in at risk population. It was a horrible flu, and there's only one other time in my life I felt so bad, but like I'm fine now.
Yeah.
And it's all cool. And so she is. It's kind of what the French government is saying. My sister trusts the French government very much, and but it's not completely false. Like, most people are going to get very sick and are going to get better, and it lasts a week to 2 weeks,
like a flu,
and that's it.
Yeah.
So, but it did affect me as much as I can say that. Like, I was scared, and I was like, I contemplated, like, okay, what if she gets really bad? That means I would fly out there.
Maybe.
I would definitely fly out there.
Yeah.
If one of my family members or my siblings got sick and I thought they might die, I couldn't. I don't know how I would do anything else. So, I mean, those thoughts, like you said you were kind of exhausted because of all the war gaming.
Yeah, just my natural brain, man.
Those thoughts over the past few days, because she didn't tell me for a few days, because she
didn't want to worry you.
So those thoughts for a few days, like, just worried me and so forth. And my dad lives in Spain. My dad is,
which we've both been communicating with.
Yeah, is in an at-risk population too. I mean, age-wise, he's 64.
It's really, that was a really interesting conversation, man. Can we just call him Money for the show?
Sure.
Money Banks out there is
Money Wise.
Yeah. Money Banks. Money Wise. Jeez, Pete. Money Wise is Banks' father. He lives in Spain. We're not going to get into any more detail than that. But we had this really cool correspondence going back and forth, and he was really kind of telling me a lot of the same things that he was telling you, I think, and which he made a point to say. But basically, they're on complete lockdown. You were saying that they can't even go into their backyards, right? Like,
yeah. So there was an article I read specifically. My dad talked to me about where, like, the police came to this person's house because they were like having like a meal in the backyard.
Yeah.
So.
And he went on to say, you know, it was a really pretty interesting experience for him, because he is he's an American, right? And he's got a little bit of a different status, I guess, over there. And
yeah, because they're all, so he lives in like a touristy place, but this isn't tourist season. So during non-tourist season,
hard to access.
It's somewhat hard to access, and it's only locals. Right. And they're used to seeing these Americans, Italians, whoever from different places. But during non-tourist season, which is like 9 months out of the year, it's only the locals. So, and my dad is the only like American just standing out.
Yeah, I know. Like he said, yeah, it's given me some freedom, basically, to move around differently and to not be bothered by the government and things like that. While some people are,
with their big rule followers, to some degree, like they've Europeans in general have been oppressed like multiple times in history. Spanish have been oppressed by Franco. They were oppressed, if you go way back, by the Muslims. Yeah. They were oppressed during World War I and World War II, and they do follow rules more than, because they have a more socialized system, right? More than us. And so my dad can also off-play it by the fact that he doesn't speak very good Spanish, and so like there's a communication barrier, right? And he just looks different. But you're supposed to, if you're out in the streets, you have to have a receipt from having gone to the store on your way back home to justify why you're out. And you have to wait in front of the store. They let you in like one by one, and they have like these sections that are separated for people coming in and people coming out. And it's just, yeah. And of course, like for somebody who living a normal life who isn't a rule follower, all this seems weird, especially when you see all these people acting weird. And so the other day, my dad has this friend in town who's an old lady. She is an at-risk person, but she had to go to the store to get something. And my dad saw her there, and she has a lot of trouble walking. So getting downstairs is really hard. And so he like helped her down the stairs and got screamed at by this cop or something, saying like, "Don't touch the old woman," or whatever. And like both my dad and the old woman who are friends were like, "Go pounce in. I'm not going to let her fall down the stairs, you freaking idiot."
Oh, God, they're awful. They can't even help themselves.
and what's funny is also he says that people who have dogs
Yeah.
have more freedom than other people because
They have to walk their dog.
They've been given the right to walk their dogs, and my dad is like, I've just invented an invisible dog.
I'm out here walking my invisible dog.
Not really, but like in his mind, he's like this is just.
Hola. May I walk your dog? Oh, that'd be yeah. I get it, man. I get it. What else in terms of your personal life? I know you've been running all over Northeast Georgia, back down to Atlanta, and all that fun stuff. Mm-hmm. You've gone out to stores. You've seen. I mean, are you going out on a fairly regular basis to the stores? Or?
No, I rarely go out.
Yeah. What are you buying when you go out?
Alcohol.
Alcohol.
So I haven't gone out to have to buy things that much myself. We've got a little campaign team that is kind of huddled together. It comprises like Matt's family and a few other people.
Sure.
And we're mostly just spend the day together, 6 feet apart, of course. And so I don't have to do that many groceries. But the other day we ran out of vodka, and so I went to the drive-through liquor store that they have up in Clayton, Georgia, and bought vodka.
So yeah, that's. I mean, I'm just trying to gather because obviously.
I mean, I've stopped at the gas station, and as much as you're hearing me say that like things aren't as we should be more hopeful, like I do take a little piece of like what's that those paper towels they have there to do oil changes, and I put it over the gas thing so I don't touch the gas thing, and I have Purell, and I wash my hands a lot. I'm even more annoyed by any gas station that doesn't have a door that you can push open and close.
Both ways, yeah.
Because then you have to touch the thing.
Racetrack.
So there's a few places where there's paper towels that I use to open the door, and then if the trash can isn't close, I just like throw it away. But I have always done this, so this hasn't changed my life.
Yeah.
Like I don't like touching doors in public I do not like public bathrooms in general.
Yeah, they're gross for the most part.
Yeah,
unless you're the first person in after somebody really cleans the hell out of it.
I'll take a number one in any public bathroom. But I mean, this is, I know it's a little bit weird, but this is very personal. Okay,
no,
if we're supposed to go personal, but a number two, my entire life, there are very few instances where I will have a number two in a public location.
Wow.
The best place to have a public two in a number location, a Japanese airport.
Oh boy,
I've talked about that before.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you if you're traveling in international airports, right? Mm-hmm. Right, like not terrible. And Narita is actually really nice for that kind of thing.
I'm just joking because the Japanese have this awesome automated
amazing
system that
cleans your derriere. Yeah, it's a bidet.
Yeah.
I got to tell you, one of the greatest places if you ever got to get out and go while you're out, if you can find a Krispy Kreme somewhere. Oh, man. Krispy Kreme bathrooms. Let me tell you something.
What?
I know this is kind of a weird thing, but since we're doing kind of more of a fun, personal type of show here.
I'm intrigued.
So,
I'm intrigued.
This one time, I was out with my wife and her friends, and we were at P.F. Chang's, right?
Okay.
To this day, I still love egg drop soup, right? And they have a small bowl and a large bowl that you can order. Now, the small bowl, it's not much, right? It's not a meal, not for a guy like me. And so I was like, bring me the big bowl. And make sure you bring me all of those like little crispy things that you throw in there. Because,
good.
Man, you throw some soy in it and you throw some salt on those things, and you've got yourself a really, really great bowl of soup. Now, when they brought this bowl of soup out, I was like, well, I guess I'm going to eat it. This bowl of soup probably could have fed the entire table, all four of us, and then I could have eaten the rest of it and been fine. But they're like, there's no way you're eating that. And I was like, well, we just... Was it made as a big bowl for consumption, or were you ordering something weird, like it was a serving bowl or something? I don't know, man. Like it said large bowl versus, like there was a choice. And so I chose the large bowl. Okay. I said 1 spoon, please. And so they brought it to me, and I ate it. And like, I don't know, her friends had great insight. They're like, you're going to get sick eating that much egg drop soup. And I was like, no way. You're not going to get sick. I wasn't drinking or anything. And so I ate the whole damn bowl of soup. And as we were leaving the parking lot over at the Mall of Georgia, there's a Krispy Kreme going up Buford Highway there, just off on the right-hand side as you're coming west, right? And I was like, Mayor, we got to stop. So, yeah, man, I went into this Krispy Kreme bathroom. I got to tell you guys, it was clean. And I got rid of that bowl of soup real quick, right? Real quick. And I couldn't help but think, this is the most pleasant experience in terms of like throwing up I've ever had, man. I'm not kidding. Like the smell of the freshly made glazed donuts soothed me. There was like the hints of vanilla in the air and just this warm feeling like you were almost at your grandma's house, right? And she was just getting done with like a cinnamon loaf or something like that. And I sat there for a while until I felt better. And I came out and my wife was like, "You okay?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm good." And she goes, "You look really good." And I was like, I just threw up in like the most fantastic bathroom that I think I've probably ever been in, right? If you're looking for a place to go and you got a Krispy Kreme in your general vicinity, hey, it's not a bad place to stop and do your biz, that's for sure.
So, since we're talking about personal stuff, I guess I'll teach this to a few people because I've had to teach to people, and as somebody who grew up being taught this by my dad,
yeah,
I'm so surprised of people's, I guess, not thinking of this and lack of confidence, because all you need to be able to have a nice place to go to the bathroom is a little confidence.
A little confidence, huh?
Yeah. It's not, if you're in the middle of nowhere and you have to go to a Valero bathroom, your day might be ruined. Another story for another time. But if you're in a city and you're walking around and you need a place to go to the bathroom, or it's raining and you need a place to just to hunker down, find the nicest hotel next to you. Act like you should be there. Yeah. And you will not only have wonderful bathrooms, okay? You could. It's usually on the main floor, left or right of the check-in. Don't stop to ask, because then you'll lose that self-confidence because you know you're lying. You know you shouldn't be there, really. Yeah. And then they'll be curious. Just go right or left, and at some point you'll find it. And if you don't find it, you just go to the elevator or the stairs and you go up another level and you just walk around. If you walk around and you act like you should be there, nobody will question you. Right. I have literally walked into a hotel like this and gone and used the pool and swam around and taken. I'm not joking. And had a wonderful time and left, and then gone back to the airport because I was on a layover. Yeah. And it is all from my dad teaching me that you just have confidence to do things, and it's just a few simple rules, like always know where the nice hotel is, because if you need anything, if you need them to send a fax for you, this is kind of old timey stuff. Yeah. If you need to anything to swim in the pool, if you need to take a dump, like I hear you, man. And all you have to do is act like you should be there, and nobody ever questions you.
From a guy that travels a bunch, hotels, I've definitely learned that if you can spot even a not as awesome hotel, right? Usually their lobby bathrooms are much nicer than anything you're going to find at some like local rest stop or a gas station or something like that. But yeah, no, I've got all sorts of these kind of stories. I even got one from the other day with Henry, but no, I think we're going to skip that. Banks, so Banks and I have totally done this show. We prepared for one show and we said, hey, if it goes long and we go into another show, we can. I've got a treat for you guys at the end of this show. We're already at 2.5 hours. So if I add another hour onto that, another 30 minutes. 30 minutes. That's another 30 hours. Minutes. So we a little more time to go.
We can kind of wrap up and see what else, like the end, like the few things we want, the loose ends we want to talk about. To wrap up a bit. But at the end of this show, guys, there's a special treat. My kids sat down. They have been extra inquisitive. I've been home for weeks now. So I've got a question. How do they know what's happening in the outside world?
Well,
like what are their sources of information?
So we sit down at dinner, and most meals, really. I mean, breakfast is fairly informal unless it's the weekend. Where it's bowls of cereal, bagel, piece of toast, or whatever. For the most part, for the kids, and if I have my coffee and I go to work, so. They see us and they we talk. We sit down and have family dinner every night.
So it's only you guys. They haven't seen the news. They don't get emails.
We don't watch news in this house. Okay. Well, and if we do, it's me, and it's me gathering content to see what the hell is going on out there.
Okay.
And so we do. We talk about the happenings of the day and why certain people are here and why why everything is kind of crazy, right? Like, and they hear us talking and they want to ask questions. And so I said, hey, look, with all the things that are going on in the world right now, I would love to have you guys come down, be part of my show, so that when parents are asked by their kids what's going on, we can explain those things, right? So I want you to do this. I want you to sit down up here today with your mom while you guys are doing school and write down questions that you have that just come up naturally. Mm-hmm. And, Meredith obviously helped them in terms of, capturing those questions and putting them down. And Jackson sat there and Henry sat over there. And Jackson had his little notebook, and Henry asked the first 2 questions off the list, and Jackson asked the second 2 questions off the list. And the reason I did this is not so much for you to share with your kids, right? Like, I think you probably share this episode with your kids. It's kind of more personal and funny about, places where you can go and life and things like that are being affected by Corona. But what I really did it for is not so much this audience to share with. It's so that this audience can share that conversation with people who aren't in this, that are not in these circles. And
so do you think we should do the first episode, second episode be 176.5, and that episode be 100 and be 177?
It could be a standalone episode by itself, really.
So the reason, even if it's really short, is if that's the goal, right?
Yeah.
Is people could share that episode without them having to go through us
yeah.
and not have any barriers.
Yeah.
Like, don't have any banks talking about going number 2 and how much he hates the U.S. Postal Service.
Yeah, we'll share it as a 0.5 or something, 176.5. So you'll get 2 on one day. Oh man, amazing things are happening even during the crazy economic meltdown.
I can't help but think of the Part of the Problem show when Davey Smith says you're going to get an extra episode.
Yeah,
he never delivers.
Well, this one's already done, so it's going to be delivered. In terms of life here, though, it's been really good to be home. Like, I'm telling you guys right now, I already hit platinum status this year, and I haven't traveled for the last 3 weeks, right? Like, platinum status is next to diamond. It's like the highest status you can get with Delta already this year. And like, I'm glad, I'm glad to be home. I'm not glad for Corona. I'm not glad for the economic meltdown. Per se. What I am glad is to find, that I get to hang out with these guys, and I don't leave here for the most part. I really try to stay.
When's the last time anybody in this house has been away?
Well, so Mayor's dad, he works, right, and so
okay.
And he works at the Big Orange Box. I'm not going to say which location or anything, but
they're still in
they're
business?
Essential, right? And
I mean.
Yeah.
Just about the essential businesses.
Yeah.
First thing, there's no definition,
right?
But I'm pretty sure that every business out there, because they give paychecks to people, is essential to somebody. That's not my words. It's our buddy Nate's words.
I love it.
But yeah, like, every business it wouldn't exist if it wasn't essential to somebody.
Well, in the private sector, it wouldn't exist. Now we get into the government. That's a different story.
I was talking about businesses. Those aren't businesses. Those are
yeah, you're right.
Those are fictions.
Touche. But yeah, he came home last night and he was telling me about, they've got obviously different hours and they're taking precautions and all that fun stuff. And they've had to go as far, and I don't know if this was passed down by Home Depot or if this is a guideline set forth by the state, but they had to go around and put 6-foot increments in tape in some of the areas where people tend to congregate, right? So at checkouts, it's the pro desk and at customer service, and where they do exchanges and things like that. The paint aisle where you get your paint done, or keys, and so like all these kind of things where they have tape on the ground for social distancing markers. I was like, man, that sounds really, really bureaucratic to me. What's that?
Sounds really retarded.
And Banks definitely means that in a stunted mental development way.
Absolutely.
Not a derogatory term. So that happened. I haven't been out since last week sometime, and went out just to do some grocery shopping. I'm glad I went out, man. I'll tell you.
How are the grocery stores?
So I went up to Jasper. Guess what? People in Jasper don't know that anything's going on, right? They don't care. And the thing is they got hamburger and steaks on hooves up there for probably years, right? Like those guys they live a lifestyle that's different from a lot of people who don't live in an agrarian type society, right? Like,
Jasper is in Matt's district.
Yeah, I do. I
Edgewood.
actually saw some political signs for not Matt up there the other day. I didn't run them over or anything. I just wanted to let you know that
appreciate it.
They're working that area.
Is it some sneaky lawyer guy?
Maybe.
Okay.
I don't remember who it was. All I saw was some.
No, if you knew
so number 9.
If you saw something, you would know.
Yeah,
the sneaky lawyer. We both
see
know.
something, say something. But you know what? We went in to the store that we went into grocery shop at. There's a few of them up there, and it's really the first time I've gone grocery shopping in Jasper since being up here. Man, there was plenty of most damn near everything. They even had toilet paper, for God's sakes. And so, we didn't hoard any toilet paper. We bought one thing. But I did find it.
Were there any rules being applied? Like only one?
Yeah. And this is a really cool thing that I really liked is, once again, the private market seeing a need responded and shifted their own internal policy without the government and said, hey, listen, out of respect for your fellow man, please only take one of this item, or take 2 of this item, or 3 of this item. And I think that's all I saw. And most of the things like on your packaged meat, so like your chicken that's that needs to be used, right? It's refrigerated, it's not frozen. 3. You can take 3 packages of chicken. You can take 2 packages of ground beef. You can take whatever it is. You can take 1 thing of toilet paper, or 2 or 3 or whatever it was. But people up there, it seemed like they were just going out to the store on a Friday or Saturday or wherever the heck it was that I went out there. And I was glad to see it because, as you're at home and you're not going out into society, if you are, part of those people that have self-quarantined, I think if you're just plugged into the media, things seem really just God awful right now.
Mm-hmm.
And that differentiation where you just put that damn screen away, whether it's a computer, tablet, or your phone, and you're out amongst real human beings again, to see that they are polite and courteous and they're working together and they're trying like hell to make sure that things are smooth and going on, man. Like, that was great to see, and I think more people, if you can, need to be doing that kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think you can not have a pretty normal life and still be careful.
Yeah.
Like, you don't have to touch things, and you can wash your hands, and
don't touch your face.
I mean, I did recently hear that there's 2 strands or something. There's the one that's not airborne and the one that's airborne. And then that just brings me to all the people who are really, really upset that the state parks are open. Now, again, the state parks aren't open. The visitor centers are closed, and nature is open.
Nature's always open.
People are really upset that there's not like little chains.
You were saying this like
no.
People are super upset that you can go into nature.
People are so up there. They think that Governor Kemp and people like Matt are going to be responsible for killing people. They're using like almost every cuss word that I've ever seen, saying that this is dangerous and so forth. Some of the cuss words might have been my fault because I said something like, if you don't go to, like, if you don't want to go to the state park, like, just don't go to the state park.
That's crazy, Banks.
And then I said that I'm pretty sure you can be out in nature and be pretty safe. Like, you only have to stay 6 feet apart. Just don't go rubbing on people. I'm pretty sure that you weren't supposed to go rubbing on people in the first place. Okay, I've tried. People don't like that,
especially strangers in this day and age. Go figure, right?
So, yeah, I don't understand. It's probably we're all probably going to get sicker because we're all inside and not getting enough sunlight. Now it's pretty dreary and dark these last few days, but we should probably get outside more and have a little bit more sunlight.
Vitamin D does amazing things. Vitamin D, zinc, vitamin C, your B vitamins. If you can get outside. I know Georgia, especially North Georgia, has just been this god awful rainy. But tomorrow, well, by the time you hear this, the sun's supposed to be out, guys. And I'll tell you what I love to see as I'm looking out these windows, and the buds that were on those trees have burst, and now you got little leaves coming out, man. And it's life.
I mean, it's spring now.
Yeah,
officially.
It is. Yeah, officially spring already. I thought it was at the end of March, but apparently it's a little bit
March
before.
19th.
Yeah.
I don't know why it's not the 20th like it normally is.
I don't know who does these things. I want to heap some praise if that's okay.
Depends on who. On me, fine. Anybody else, no.
On a guy I consider a brother. He is one of the leading voices over in Habersham County. His name is Tim Stamey. Tim is a former JTAC. He was one of the first guys into Afghanistan, and we have spent some amazing time together and had some really interesting talks. And he put this out yesterday, and I wanted to read it just because I think more heads like this need to be, I don't know, at least held up by people out there. So without further ado, from Tim Stamey, Habersham County. I know the governor has issued an executive order for the elderly and people with health issues to shelter in place. We all need to heed the warnings in order not to spread this to our loved ones. I have spoken with several healthcare and EMS professionals in the county this evening, and they are very concerned. Please use common sense. I urge everyone to shelter in place whenever possible. Stop taking the family out in public to shop, eat, and enjoy whatever entertains you. Please support our businesses with common sense. Plan, figure out what you need, and one person go in and buy what you need. Use drive-through to take out restaurants and take out for restaurants. Everyone is doing this now, and tip them. Wash your hands with appropriate hand cleanser before entering your vehicle. Try as hard as it may be not to rub your face until you wash your hands. We have thousands of acres. Let's see. We have thousands of acres of beautiful national forests here that brings in tourists. How many of us have truly explored what is right here? Tired of being cooped up? Go for a hike, and it doesn't have to be on a busy trail. The road less traveled normally has the biggest treasures. Spend quality time with your family, communicate with them, and find family things to do together. If you're so inclined, I am. Spend some quiet time communing with God in Bible and study. Look for the silver lining. Sometimes we rush so much, I do, that we don't slow down to enjoy what is truly special. God bless you all. You're in my prayers.
That's pretty cool. Is that on his personal or his campaign page?
I think it's on his personal page. It looks like his personal page because he doesn't have his mug up there, but he does have. It's his personal page. But
cool,
man. I love hearing guys like this who and extremely proud of this guy, right? Mm-hmm. For running for this position and not only winning it, but what he's done with it already. Habersham. Right? They were the first county in Georgia to become the Second Amendment sanctuary county. I wonder why. Mr. Tim Stamey, who still teaches people out of the good of his heart rifle marksmanship. The guy is a world-class rifle shooter, man. I mean, just absolutely amazing on top of being a JTAC. But Joint Terminal Attack Controller, for those of you guys that are wondering what JTAC is. You got something over there, Banksy?
No, I was just... I'm not friends with Tim Stamey yet. I haven't actually talked to him, but our buddy Matt has talked to him.
He's agreed to come in.
And cool.
He's getting older, though. Tim, if you're listening to this, you might be at risk. No. I am kidding. I love you, man, and I love guys that are a little more cool-headed and are looking at at possible solutions and giving people solutions out there in this crazy time. And I think that's what we're going to have to do. I think we're going to have to really depend on the private sector and get everything out of its way as fast as possible so that, it can go back to work and people can continue to enjoy life as it used to be.
Yeah, it's funny. I just realized where. So I know he lives in Habersham, but where he lives, I pass through that. Every time that I go up there, I pass through this little town he lives in.
It's very close. Yeah,
that's very cool.
It's not too far from Tiger, that's for sure.
Yeah, I'm supposed to deliver some signs to him at some point. But yeah,
right on.
I think this is kind of the end of the show. Besides the part, I guess it's going to be another show, so we can just like wrap it up.
Yeah, we'll wrap it all up here.
I've enjoyed being here. It's been like 2 weeks since
I was
here.
It's been a while, man. Yeah.
You did that awesome episode with your brother that I didn't listen to yet.
It's reserving judgment, I imagine.
Yet. But it's been nice to be back. We might have some Skype episodes in the future.
Yeah.
I have a buddy I want to get on the show.
Who is it? You're not telling?
Charles Gregory.
That's right.
I've mentioned him multiple times.
The elusive Charles Gregory.
Well, I mean, this isn't the best. The best time
I'll tell you right now
in the world.
No, it's not the best time. Skype would be really good for him to be in on. And secondly, having a family man try to get on at 8:30 at night. And you said, I don't know, he's got to talk to his wife about this. I was like, well, yeah, so do I. And then I told Meredith about the conversation. And she goes, don't you have to ask your wife? And I was like, of course I do, honey.
Yes, that kind of goes, that flies through one side of Banks' brain into the other.
Banks had so much control over my life during the last campaign, right? So he just goes into campaign mode and he's just, let's go.
Well, it is kind of nice. I mean, Matt just does everything I say whenever I say
it. Has got to be.
That's not true.
That puppet master thing, man, is like, oh man, that's a heck of a thing. You got power over there, Banksy.
No, I wasn't that controlling.
Good man with it though. I definitely trust you with it.
Yeah, but I hope people are enjoying the show while they're readjusting their life one way or another.
Might try to do a few more shorties with kids or family or something like that to help people. I mean,
take the edge off.
Take that edge off, guys. I mean, don't go out and get blasted. Apparently, domestic abuse is up, man. Last thing
Really?
Oh man, a lot. Yeah.
I haven't. That's
yeah. And somebody actually made the comment the other day is, hey, listen, don't close the liquor stores and the alcohol stores like that, because having somebody forced to be at home who's an alcoholic who can't drink and is cold turkey being weaned off by force, also pretty terrible, awful thing.
If it's in that kind of situation, I imagine they would find some way to find alcohol.
Yeah. Well, here in North Georgia, there's a ton of shines.
I don't think in Georgia at least we're having that problem. I don't know if in other states if it's worse,
yeah.
but
we'll see. At any rate, guys, I'm not asking for your money this time around. If you just feel like you have to, it's patreon.com/rebellionpod. But we would in this time ask for a 5-star review. You got plenty of extra time. I know you do, because I see you all over the internet. Go out there, leave us a 5-star review. Usually on Apple, it helps push us to the top, where we get to spread more peace, liberty, and free markets.
Absolutely. There are actually 2 new patrons that we'll shout out at the beginning of next episode, so you get a double shout out, even though I'm not mentioning the
177.
I guess we can do the intro for that.
Yeah,
cool.
Sure.
And besides that, if you have any input to give us, which we have some input for the next episode that I already forgot, you can send us an email at info@rebellionpod.com. You can contact us on all the social medias, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, and send us guest ideas or a question you want us to answer. Besides that, this is your place for peace, liberty, and free markets. Shane?
We are praying for you. We hope you're doing well. Treat each other with love and all those around you. We love you. We need you.
Peace.
Don't hurt people and don't take their stuff.